Hi, this is Sebastian Braxton, and welcome back to the Art of Public Speaking. This is episode number 25, and we are talking about nonverbal communication and how it collaborates with our speaking in order to add meaning, depth, and enhance our message. Now, the second C is what we call it calls for feedback. Nonverbal communication is something we're doing all the time. For example, when you're talking to someone and you're trying to explain directions of where something is, you'll notice that they'll start nodding their head up and down. Now, the irony is that doesn't really work in every culture, because I remember being in India and telling a guy, hey, this is what I think, and instead of nodding his head up and down, he nodded it left to right, and that became super confusing to me because I thought he was saying no, but he was actually saying yes in their culture, because that's what they do non-verbally. Now, I digress. The point is, in public speaking, it is the same way. Now, when you think about this historically, think about maybe you've been a part of an African-American congregation historically of how they're interacting in this sort of call-in response, right? So the preacher gets up or the speaker gets up and he says, hi, I'd like to welcome you all this evening. This is a somber evening. Yes, sir. And you hear somebody in the crowd say, what? And then he keeps going with his presentation and he says, you know, we are living in some dark times. Come on, talk to him now. And you're like, for some people, that's a distraction. It's kind of interrupting the speaker. It's a little bit rude. But in their historical tradition, there was supposed to be this relational component, because as they were giving this reaction, it was their way of non-verbally or sometimes verbally signaling to the speaker that they were understanding, that they were with him or her emotionally, and that they should also respond with even greater depth and greater emotion. Now, as a speaker, this is so important because we have to watch to see that the points and the insights that we're trying to make, we should see them lighting up in the mind of the listeners. So as a public speaker, it's so important that you're watching the nonverbals of the audience to make sure you can see that your point is actually coming home to them. Now, you can notice this by their eyes getting wide or the nodding, or you can even notice their breathing or even the solemnity with which they're listening. They want to hear the rest of the story or the idea, and they're hanging on every word that you are saying. Now, some other nonverbal signs are like applause or tears or laughter. These are all ways to get that response, and especially if you're doing a persuasive type presentation, this is going to lead them to be more responsive when it's time for your call to action. Now, adding this into your repertoire is just going to move you one step closer to the art of public speaking.